Hello, welcome to the first preview video of Defguard 2.0. We have just released the first alpha of this major new version, and we are excited to show you what's new. All the changes and new features introduced in Defguard 2.0 are described in a dedicated blog post that I will link in the description of this video. Also, this video is based on a step-by-step guide available in our documentation that you can see here, which you'll find linked below as well. So if you prefer a static written walkthrough, feel free to follow that guide instead. Please keep in mind that this is an early alpha release published to showcase the direction of the upcoming stable version, and it is not intended for production use yet. Okay, so let's dive into it. So for the purpose of this video, we have created a dedicated Docker Compose configuration that will allow you to easily start Defguard in 2.0. So if you go to our group in GitHub and just pick the deployment repository, and let's just copy the name of this repository and clone it here. Okay, let's change directory, deployment, and there is a directory called Docker Compose 2.0. In there, you'll find a compose file and a bunch of other configuration files, but let's just skip them for now. And I'll just move on to starting the stack. Okay, let's now try to start the stack. Yes, let's check what started. Okay, the full stack is running. You can see that there's this core component here already started, the database, PostgreSQL-based database, and we also have a bunch of other services. So we have two edge components. Previously, we named them proxy. Right now, it is named edge. And it is required if you want to expose some functionalities of the core safely to the internet. And we already started two instances behind a load balancer, an Nginx-based load balancer, to present the high availability capabilities in the following video. But for now, you can see that you have two edge components. And you also have two gateway components also running behind an Envoy-based load balancer. So we will be able to present high availability functionality in the future as well. So stay tuned for other videos. So in this guide, I'll show you how easy it is to set up Defguard in the latest version. Because based on feedback from our users, we know that configuring Defguard in the past wasn't always straightforward. That's why we introduced a brand new initial configuration wizard. This guided setup walks you through the entire process step by step, helping you to configure Defguard from scratch. So since all the services in the stack are working, right now go to this guide and see it in action. As you can see, our core service, which is our control plane, is running, and I have a port mapped here. So 8000 port mapped to my local port. So let's just go to this address. Yep. And as you can see, Defguard already detected that this is a fresh instance, and it already started the configuration wizard for us. And we can start configuring Defguard. In the first step, you'll be asked to set up your admin account. So let's just fill this up. So admin, Defguard.net, and set up the password. Okay, let's move on. Right now, some general configuration. You can provide a Defguard URL. This URL is actually used when we, for example, send email messages, and there are some links to this instance, so we need to know how it is exposed. And for now, let's just configure it to localhost 8000 port. And there's also a public edge component URL, which is used, for example, by the desktop application and by the mobile application to access certain functionalities of core in a secure way. So I will also use my mobile phone to and my mobile application to connect to the VPN. So I need to give it an address different from localhost. I'll give it my local network address. So I'll just figure out the address here. So that is my local network address. Now let's figure it here, and port is 8080. As you can see here, the edge component. Yeah, so the edge component exposes port 8080. Okay, let's move on. In the following steps, Defguard asks me to create a custom certificate authority that will be used to secure communication between Defguard components, so between core, gateway, and edge components. So this is very crucial, and previously it was a manual step that you had to do, and in the latest version this is fully automated. So Defguard takes care of creating the custom certificate authority, and it also takes care of issuing certificates based on this certificate authority to edge and gateway components that you adopt. And this adoption is also done from the UI. So let's just go ahead and create this certificate authority. Let's name it my CA. Let's issue it to my admin account. And let's make it valid for 5 years. Okay, let's move on. Here we can download the certificates. And right now, Defguard asks me to adopt Edge component. So as I showed you previously, the Edge component is already running. Actually, 2 of them are running. For the purpose of this video, I will just adopt a single Edge component, and we'll do high availability version later. So for now, I'm just adopting a single edge component. I'll give it a name edge1. For the domain, I will use the service name, the Docker service name, because that is the core service sees the edge service as the Docker service name. I'll just use edge1. That is the service name for the first edge component. The port is the default one. And right now I can click adopt edge component. And you'll see that Defguard takes care of issuing the certificates for this edge component, making sure that the communication in the future will be secure between those components. Okay, let's continue. So right now it confirms that the system is configured, the basic configuration is finished, but it also suggests creating your first VPN location, which is a logical VPN location. So I can click on it now. I'll just name the location local. And I have to give it a public address. So right now I will also use my local network address for that, because I will try to connect using my mobile application to connect to this location. So I'll have to give it my local network address. Okay, so let's just continue. Need to provide the gateway VPN IP address. So let's just do 10.10.10/24. Same for the allowed IPs as an example. Okay, network settings, I will leave default mode. I want to enforce internal MFA. By internal, I mean using TOTP or using mobile application or using email. So let's just enforce internal MFA for this location. I'm not setting up access control right now, and I'm also not interested in setting up firewall for this location at the moment. But what I am interested in is also triggering another wizard, which will help me create a gateway, assign gateway for this location. There's a separate wizard for that. Let's just continue. So a gateway is like a physical VPN server that I will use to connect to the VPN. I'll give it a name called Gateway1. And same as with edge components, I will also use the internal Docker service name for the domain. So it's Gateway1. and the default port. Adopt the gateway component as well. Okay, adoption is done. And also use the certificate authority to issue a certificate for this gateway. So this communication is also secure. And let's just continue. Gateway component was configured successfully. So right now I can go to locations, and it actually redirects me to the main control plane. As you can see, I am already signed in as the administrator. So it created this account for me. I can already see my location, and I can also see that there's a gateway connected to this location. So this location is actually ready for users to connect to. And also what I can see is that the edge component was also configured here, and it is connected. So actually what you can see now is a fully configured Defguard instance. You can create your first user, and you can just connect to the new created VPN location using Defguard desktop application or Defguard mobile application. And that's it. We encourage you to try Defguard 2.0 for yourself and explore everything the version has to offer. Fully focused on making this really stable, and your feedback plays a huge role in that process. So we really encourage you to try it yourself. If you have suggestions, ideas, or run into any issues, feel free to start a new discussion on GitHub. You'll also find a link how to create a discussion in the description of this video. In this chapter, I would like to briefly talk about another big feature of the 2.0, which is a fully redesigned interface. So we spent a lot of time on analyzing the feedback from our customers. We spent a lot of time on designing the new interface, and we also got it implemented. Keep in mind that this is an alpha version, so not everything might work, but most of it is working. We wanted to show you the new interface as soon as possible to gather even more feedback so we can improve it before reaching the final version. So let's just start off with the VPN overview. Right now I have a single user connected, and as you can see, I can see that the user is connected, the device is connected, I can see some statistics. So this view got refreshed. What's also changed is we focused on making it more responsive. So previously, for really big deployments, the VPN overview might have slowed down a bit. So we focus on optimizing it. Right now it's based on the sessions. All the queries were optimized, and it should be responsive even for large deployments. You already saw the locations page. You also briefly saw the users page. As you can see, I have the users list here. I can see the activated devices for this user. I can also go to the profile of this user, and I can see a bunch of actions connected to this user. Groups got refreshed, but no major UX changes here. That is still just a table. Another big one is firewall module. This got totally redesigned. We separated our aliases, which were previously aliases with type alias and destination. Right now, we separated those. So we have a separate view for creating aliases, separate view for creating destinations, and a separate view for creating rules. And we are especially proud of the rule form because it was a bit complicated in a previous version. Right now, we try to make it as user-friendly as possible. And there's a lot of explanations. It's logically arranged, so this should be a big improvement for our users. So activity log, that is still a table with the events generated in the system. So no major changes here as far as UX goes. So I'll just omit the views that didn't change a lot. And another big change was the settings page. We divided it into logical parts. So right now, everything that you can configure in Defguard should be configurable from the interface. So we divided the settings into tabs. You have a general tab, notification settings. You have external identity providers, settings for activity streaming, and your license. And that's pretty much it. So that was just a brief preview. You can definitely test it yourself and see the changes in action. So we really encourage you to take a look at it, play with it, and give us feedback. We really appreciate that. Okay, now that we have our Defguard instance initially configured, we can now add a new user to our users list and try to connect to the newly created location using the desktop application configured for this user. So I'll just go to our users list page and I'll create a new user. And I want to add a new user using the self-enrollment option. So the user will be involved in the process. I'll just create, say, Jane with Jane at Defguard.net email address, and her name is Jane, last name Doe, and I'll just add her here. And as you can see, Defguard presents me with the Defguard instance URL and the activation token that will be used to activate the user. So right now, everything that's left is to open Defguard desktop application. I have it already installed. As you can see, I have it in version 1.6. So we didn't release 2.0 versions for our desktop and mobile applications. These are still in 1.6, and they are fully compatible with the latest 2.0 version. And we will start working on refreshing both of the application after we're finished with re-implementing the core. So let's just copy those. Instance URL and the activation token, add instance. And here you can see the enrollment process for the user. So the user will be guided through creating his account, actually her account. So I just need to confirm the data that the administrator entered earlier. I can go to the next step, create a password. Yep. And name the device. That's my MacBook. And right now the system asks me to enable two-factor authentication. So I'll just create a TOTP authentication factor. So I just click setup EMFA. Right now I need to take my mobile phone, just scan the QR code using a selected authentication app. I'm using Google Authenticator here, and I have the code here. Yeah, I can download recovery code. That is just an example, so I can skip this. And it's done. So user was activated. And as you can see, I have a new instance here. And you can also see the local location that I created earlier during the initial setup wizard. And I can try to connect to this instance. But maybe first, I will just make sure that I'm disconnected right now. So I will ping the gateway IP address just to show you that it's not connected. And as you can see, it's not connected. I cannot ping the gateway IP address. And right now we'll try to connect and see if it changes. So I'm clicking connect. I will authenticate using the Authenticator app. I'll just input it. Yep, that should be it. As you can see, I got connected. It's green. You can also see that now I'm able to ping the gateway IP. So VPN connection is active. And what we should also see is in VPN overview, you can see that there's a, for the location local, there's an active user, only one for now, but you can already see some statistics being generated because of the ping. And you can also see that in the users page, right now I can see Jane Doe. And I can also see that there's an activated MacBook device. I can also go to the profile of this user. I can see the devices. And I can also see that this user has time-based one-time passwords factor enabled. I can disconnect now. You will see that the VPN was also disconnected. So it works.